Hey, everybody, it's your man, Nicholas Wildstar, aka the Governor, and I appreciate all of you for being here with me on the Black Side of Liberty. I have an extraordinary guest who I'm going to be introducing to all of you in just a moment. I do apologize for the technical difficulties in getting all of this started. I usually ask my guests to be a little bit early so we can get rid of all of those difficulties, and unfortunately encountered them myself. So I do appreciate your patience as well as my guest who is waiting backstage. But to all of you out there watching on YouTube, I believe this is not going live on Facebook right now. I'm going to do my best to kind of get that stream up and running. But for all of you out there watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell. Make sure you can receive notifications on any up and coming future videos from yours truly. And of course, if you haven't already, head on over to my website, wildstar2022.com, and connect with me on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any one of those, or whatever the case. Be sure to connect with me. Let's keep each other informed on what's going on. And of course, be sure to bring more awareness about what's going on in the world and expand our audience together for this liberty movement. Okay. And as I said to you guys, I do apologize for the technical difficulty in getting things started. Excuse me. My man Cade Hill said, "What's up?" What's up with you, man? I appreciate you for being here. Definitely be sure to chime in if you guys are watching. Drop some comments and questions during the show, and I'll be sure to put those up on the screen here. But with no further ado, I would definitely want to introduce my guest, who, like I said, has been working with me throughout this technical difficulty. My guest, his name is Joe Soloski. Joe, welcome to the Black Side of Liberty, my friend.
Thank you so much, Mr. Governor. I appreciate you having me this evening.
Oh, pleasure indeed. And thank you for being here, Joe. And just so you guys know who Joe is actually running for governor himself, only he's out there in Pennsylvania. So, Joe, if you could introduce yourself to the people out there and let them know who is Joseph Soloski.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Wildstar. I appreciate this opportunity. I am Joe Soloski. I'm running for governor of Pennsylvania. Announced my candidacy this past December. My team and I decided we needed to get a great early start, and we've been getting a lot of attention since then. It's a wonderful thing. We intend to keep doing a heck of a lot more. Myself, I've been a CPA, an entrepreneur all my life. I'm rather semi-retired at the moment, pursuing the governorship, and I want to be able to bring great liberty-minded change that is desperately needed here in Pennsylvania. We are not a very tax-friendly state here. We're getting to be less and less a business-friendly state, and I need to turn that around with the help of a lot of other people, primarily libertarians that we need to get elected starting this year. So that's a little bit about me. I've run for public office before. I had the extreme good fortune to run for state treasurer last year, and that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity and experience. Myself and the other two statewide candidates, Jennifer Moore ran for Auditor General, and Dan Wasmer, he ran for Attorney General. And between the three of us, we were able to garner enough votes, enough attention, enough positiveness that we were able to secure minor party status for the Libertarian Party here in Pennsylvania. We want to keep building on that. And that's the whole crux of my campaign, to bring liberty-minded changes here to Pennsylvania with the help of all of you. So I hope that I have a chance to meet many of you. My website, if you want to check me out, is joesoloski.com. You'll see it at the bottom of your screen here. That's joesoloski.com. It lists a lot about me, a lot of the issues I'm running on. I would appreciate it if you check it out. Email me directly. I'll get back to you personally with any questions you may have. And of course, please donate. It takes a lot of money to run a campaign. We're up and running. We've got that started. But I don't care if it's a very, very small donation or something very large, but we desperately want to have your support. So check out joesoloski.com and reach out to me. Thank you.
Yes, definitely do that. You said a good thing there about people putting their money where their mouth is, because
Absolutely. Well, and let's
go ahead.
Just let me interrupt. Reaching for your wallets, because you know you should. Wildstar 2022 is a great place to go to. Wildstar2022.com. Send this guy $50, $100, $1,000. I don't care. This is the Liberty guy, Mr. Wildstar, that you need to be electing.
God bless you, Joe. Thank you so much for saying that. And you're not supposed to be plugging me, man. I'm supposed to be plugging you.
Well, but you know, I can't help it, my friend. You know, if I had my druthers, if I had a different career, I'd be a game show host. And,
all right, you do.
You got the plug.
Sound like one. And you got the great look, definitely.
Well, you're too kind. You're too kind.
Well, Joe, you have yourself have actually made a contribution to my campaign. So thank you so much for that, because with you being a candidate yourself, you know how hard it is to come by to get funding. And not only that, but all of the expenses that are included that we have to cover. You know, I see your signs behind you. I'm pretty sure those costs, and, you know, and the other lawn signs, your website, if you plan on running commercials or mailers, or all of that stuff adds up. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, excuse me, being Liberty candidates, we're barely funded by those large donors and, you know, contributors like the police unions and teachers unions and Wall Street bankers, whatever the case may be. That the two-party system candidates end up getting the majority of their funding from. So definitely be sure to contribute towards this guy right here. Put your money where your mouth is, and make sure that he has the opportunity to give those other candidates running for governor a run for their money. So, all right. So with all that out of the way, I want to talk about some meat and potatoes type of stuff.
Let's do that.
Because people do appreciate it when we talk about the issues, you know. And I'm not too familiar with many of the issues there that the state of Pennsylvania is dealing with. I'm pretty sure just like every state, it's having its share of over government regulation and taxation, et cetera. So if you could just give us a rundown of the few of the things, I guess, top 3 things that you think the state is facing and what you would do to address them.
Top 3, I mean, there's many things, but the top 3, we need to slash the governor's emergency powers. He's been running roughshod over this state, and we're very lucky at this moment. Usually the primary in May is only for Republicans and Democrats, but this May, here in Pennsylvania, everybody can vote. And that's because there's 3 referendum questions on the ballot. And so every registered voter can turn out and vote. We've been trying as libertarians to get that message out to people. Those referendum questions deal with curbing the governor's emergency powers. And I know myself, I would never use them. I've been campaigning saying if there's any left in my first day of office, out the door they go. I'm not going to be using any of those emergency powers, and I will make sure that I reverse anything that's still in place at that time. The other things, our budget has grown by 75% in approximately 18 years. It's they're spending like crazy here in Pennsylvania, and they've been increasing taxes along the way too. Matter of fact, this year, our current Governor Wolf, he has been asking for a lot of additional tax increases. He wants to raise our personal income tax by almost 50%. That's the biggest one. He wants to do a severance fee tax on the natural gas fracking industry. Things like this are just going to continue to kill jobs in Pennsylvania. So 1, like I said, kill the governor's emergency powers. 2, slash the budget, slash like crazy. And then once we do that, we can start to slash all the ridiculous taxation that's going on here. Our property tax system is antiquated. It needs to be eliminated. We have an inheritance tax here. I've always said it's immoral that you can die here in Pennsylvania and it gives rise to a taxable event. That's not right. You need to get rid of that. I'm pushing hard to get us to cut spending so that we can eliminate the personal income tax. Rather than Governor Wolf increasing it by 50%, I'd like to reduce it to zero. These are the biggest things. Now, there's many, many others, but those are the ones that are going to resonate with people, I feel, the most. They've seen their liberties trampled here in this state. We've got to turn that around, and that's going to be my focus every day that I'm in office.
Great. And a lot of people definitely could benefit from that leadership. Definitely. And out there in Pennsylvania, if they're suffering with the type of issues that the people here of California are, having to deal with, and taxation being one of them, so it's very good to hear that you want to reverse the overtaxation of the people living there in the state. But you also brought up another good thing, which is a reversal of emergency powers, because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the lockdowns being imposed on people of the state and across the country are due to emergency powers. They're not constitutional,
Exactly. So, here in the state, they've actually gone to court. Courts have said Governor Wolf's edicts are indeed unconstitutional, and yet he keeps doing it.
Yeah, same thing happens here. It happened here in California, which is why we're calling our governor,
I know.
Because it's pretty much gotten to that point where the people have had to respond. And thankfully, the state of California is a direct democracy. So if we don't like our representatives, we have that recall process, which we can enact just by making sure that we collect a certain amount of signatures to get that petition to be, engaged. So we're hoping we trigger that recall election here. We collected over 2 million signatures, and we only needed 1.5. So
that speaks volumes.
Oh yeah. So no matter what you heard in the news, this is a citizens recall out here in California. The people of California, not just specific groups, or of a specific political party. Everybody has been involved in that effort. So, but it's been because of that overstepping of authority by the governor, and you guys out there in Pennsylvania are seeing that with, Governor Wolf there. You're not doing a recall, but you are having this primary where pretty much it's any man's game, and you can walk away the winner with that, with the majority vote, correct?
I absolutely. My fear is, even if it is a resounding yes to get rid of these powers, my fear is, I saw what happened in South Dakota. Governor Nome there, she did a good job keeping her state open. That was great for business. But then they had a referendum this past November, and she went to court to basically overturn the voters' overwhelming desire for that referendum. And that's not right. My fear is that may happen here. I hope it doesn't. I kind of envy California's recall mechanism. We have no recall mechanism here in Pennsylvania. That would require a constitutional amendment, and we should do it. That'd be a good one. And something that I'll probably be pushing for when I am governor. And when I speak about the things I want to change here, I want to point out that I don't want to be in any way hypocritical. I want to lead from the top. So on my first day in office, I will be slashing my pay by more than 60%. Pennsylvania is one of the top 3 paid governors in the nation. We're only exceeded by 2, New York, and if I'm not mistaken, California.
All right.
I think you pay your governor over $200,000 a year. Last time I checked, our governor makes $190,000. So I've said to people, I believe that Pennsylvania should have the lowest paid governor in the country. And right now, that's the state of Maine at $70,000. So I'll be slashing my pay day one to 70 grand or just a little bit below.
Oh,
So,
wow. All right. Well, I plan
and
on beating you on that one because I'm going to take a 60K salary.
woo, we're going to have a little competition
All
going
right,
here.
yeah.
Wow.
It's money to do the job. But you're absolutely right.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Hey, that's what we the people need. I mean, the median income across the country is about what, 15, 20,000?
I
So we
know.
have elected officials making, 10
Well,
times that amount. It's ridiculous.
I look at our legislature here in Pennsylvania, and I think we have the highest paid legislature in the nation here. Each of our legislators earns over $90,000 a year as of this year. Their people in leadership make upwards of 150 a year.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, we're not getting our money's worth. They have this mechanism where they get an increase every year. And I need to cut my pay so that I can look them in the eye and say, okay, guys, it's your turn now. I'm asking for a minimum 5% budget cut per year that I'm in office. And why don't you start with your salaries, your benefits, your perks, and start to win a little bit of credibility back with your constituents in your districts. It'll give me a little bit of credibility asking for those cuts if I cut myself.
Yes, absolutely. And not to mention, it's at a time when lots of people don't have jobs or a source of income, so I would say, if anything, that would be very noble of elected officials to either decline pay or take a reduced salary to do the job, So bravo to you on definitely leading the charge on that. I hope that, the people of Pennsylvania give you an opportunity to make that change, because I'm pretty sure they could use the tax break at this time,
And, I know your campaign's building steam just like mine is. I truly believe the liberty movement is this moment. This is a historic moment. I personally believe we have people who are so finally fed up. I've been saying to them for years, what's it going to take for you to vote for something different, something better? Right. And I think they're finally seeing that the old duopoly, the old guard, is the reason for all the problems. And if we can put people in place like you, like me, we're going to make those other parties better, because we're going to be able to hold their feet to the fire. And that's what's desperately needed. I think we would see phenomenal change in just 10 years, 20 years, that period of time, once they have liberty-minded people like yourself, libertarians like me, holding office and making these great things happen.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Just giving us the opportunity to speak on issues and provide alternative solutions than the ones that they propose, challenge them on doing better,
Yes.
Because if you have the opportunity to get on that debate stage and just let it be known that, hey, you're willing to do the job on a lesser salary, then that's going to, pretty much motivate the voters of Pennsylvania to say, hey, well, the candidate I want to support, they should be doing that too,
Absolutely.
I did want to ask you about this whole pandemic panic, because, I know that the coronavirus craziness is having its effect nationwide. Mm-hmm. And one thing that it's spurring right now is a demand for a proof of vaccination. This vaccine passport that is now becoming very popular and being mandated in certain places to go to concert events and live events, public places, etc. They're requiring for you to have this vaccine passport. So I want to ask you, since you are looking at possibly becoming the next governor, and would you impose a vaccine passport on the people of the state, and why or why not?
Over my dead body, I would never do it. It would be over my dead body. My thought is the following: people have a right to live. I'm not against the vaccine. I haven't gotten it myself yet, but I've been inquiring locally about getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and I will shortly. I think anybody who wants to get a vaccine, they should. Please do. And I think if there's people out there that don't, well, you shouldn't have to. And we certainly shouldn't have a passport, a vaccine passport, a vaccine identity that allows us certain rights or restricts certain rights. Now, that being said, I also respect individual businesses. All right. I'm sure that if I walk into a restaurant in a beach community and I see a sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no service, I get it. They're allowed to do that. It's a health issue, and that's an individual business thing. So let's say, okay, let's say myself and Governor Wildstar, we have this, we each have a men's clothing store on the same street. Okay. Mm-hmm. If my store is imposing restrictions that some people don't like and your store doesn't, you're going to get that business.
Oh, yeah.
And rightfully so. And I think when a business says, well, this is what we want to do, well, that's your call. You own the business. I can't say you should or you shouldn't. That's up to the individual business owner. But they also know they're either going to gain or lose customers because of those measures. But it's their call. It is not government's call. You will not see a Soloski administration imposing that type of an edict on anyone. We will not require a vaccine passport. On top of that, if the feds decide to impose such a thing, that would be unconstitutional. But if they decide to, I will be instructing anyone in my state, the state police, the departments that work under me, that we will be rebelling against that. We will not enforce such a thing. We will not require it. And basically, pardon my French, if that happens, the feds can go to hell.
Right. So the same sort of thing happened in Florida with the Florida governor saying DeSantis, saying he's going to ban the requirement for these vaccination passports. So any businesses in the state that will be requiring that, will in a sense be breaking the law. So that's really, I guess, where the line is drawn between individual rights, state rights, federal law, etc., is when it comes to that individual. And like you said, engaging in that business, if they choose to patronize them, then they're making that choice to do so. Exactly. But the one thing about these vaccination mandates is it's a mandate on something that shouldn't be, forced upon us.
Exactly.
Come on. If
it's a very
glasses or masks or a certain pair of shoes or a patch that is not vaccinated, where's the line drawn at?
Exactly. It's the same thing as if they're forcing you to wear a scarlet letter. Who would go along with that? No, I think it's insidious. It's a backdoor way. Think of it. They may be saying, well, we're not going to require people to get the vaccine if they don't want to. Fine. We're not going to do that. But imagine they say, oh, wait a minute. If you're going to apply for this employment, if you're going to be getting food at this particular store, this supermarket, if you want to do this or that, you got to have this. Well, that's a very backdoor way of saying we're mandating it. We're forcing your hand. Again, I cannot do that. That is a major trampling of people's personal liberties. And I really think it's going to backfire on them. You're going to see more people saying, even if they want to go get the vaccine. Again, God love you. That's great. I'll be getting it myself. But there's no way that I should be able to have to walk around with my little proof card.
Right.
Sorry.
So what you're saying more so is you're just going to leave it up to the individuals to choose for themselves. But
Absolutely.
If they encounter a situation, just hypothetically, if they go into the grocery store and they have the vaccination card, and they don't, and they get turned away, and it turns into a legal issue. Would the laws of Pennsylvania support the business, or would they support the individual?
I would have to say the individual, because this is a matter of constitutionality and personal liberty. I understand where the store might be coming from. And again, another insidious part. Let's say I'm going into my favorite supermarket, and somewhere along the way, let's say I'm one of these individuals that decides to flash my card. They may now just have me in a database. And now I might be able to check out anytime I want, but it's the same thing. I'm in that database. That shouldn't be a requirement if I want to go in and buy a gallon of milk. So I would hope, because of the unconstitutionality of it, that the courts would find for the individual. And I truly believe, people are getting vaccinated. People who have been sick and recovered now are immune, and they have the antibodies. And I understand people say, oh, you can still get sick. Okay. If you can still get sick, now I turn around and say, well, they even say if you get the vaccine, you can still get sick.
Yes.
And I've been asking people, okay, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but why are we getting the vaccine then?
Right.
If it's not going to help, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer, I had the polio shot when I was a kid. I'm glad it was available. Not many years ago, I had a tetanus booster. These things make sense.
Right.
But governments never required it. And we're not about to start to now, not with the Soloski administration.
Exactly. And the one thing about these trial vaccinations is they are clinical trials. They're not FDA approved, and we have politicians going around the state, telling these pretty much experimental drugs on people, and not telling them the fine print, which is basically if you have any side effects, if you happen to have, develop any type of other health issues as a result from it, there is no liability. You can't sue Big Pharma because of it.
They have an exemption. And
exactly.
It's a shame. I understand there's situations where that type of exemption, immunity is needed, but it can be horribly abused. And in a situation like this, if all of a sudden, I'll do an extreme example and steal an old George Carlin line, if we all get the vaccines and all of a sudden we find out a few months down the line that, hey, one leg gets shorter than the other, better call the vaccines back. Well, it's a little late.
Right.
And, no, I just can't see that sort of requirement. People are going to rear up against it, and I think we're going to win this one. I don't think it's going to be that difficult in the long run.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I believe that we should start responding to now, opposed to later.
Absolutely.
Since you do have not only elected officials, but trusted representatives in the medical field as well as the technology field supporting other precautions. Like Dr. Fauci is now recommending that we wear 2 or 3 masks. You have Bill Gates, who runs this faulty Windows program that I had to reboot several times. And
just tonight,
saying that we should probably get a 3rd dose of the mRNA shots, because they are mRNA shots, which is a genetic modifying tool.
Yes.
You look it up, it's called CRISPR. It's a genetically modifying tool that they put in these shots. And so that adds to the experimental element of it all, and again makes it questionable. So another thing I want to ask you is just recently, or it's connected to this somewhat, but I don't know if you saw Saturday Night Live just over the weekend, or if you watched it all, but yeah, Saturday Night Live is still around, believe it or not.
Oh, that's a great show. That's a great show.
They had a host on recently who is a black man, actually is African from Uganda, and he's British. So, but yeah, he played Fred Hampton, Black Panther,
Okay.
and is rising in fame because of this.
Okay.
So he gets up, he does this monologue, and he's talking about the British royal family, and then he's doing skits where he's talking about how the vaccine or black people are leery of getting the vaccine.
Okay.
So it's crazy that with me being a black man, I'm watching this guy get up on TV, and he just played this iconic character fighting for black liberation, and fighting against oppression. Then he gets on TV and he uses his star power to promote big pharma vaccination and pretty much prejudice against those people that are choosing not to, specifically black people. So I wanted to ask you, with regards to the mainstream media and how they tend to target specific groups, whether it be this vaccination, and susceptibility to that, or crime, community crime, black on black violence, they just paint it up. Now with this whole woke thing, and they're trying to say, removing, what is it? Uncle Ben and the Lennon Lakes lady is all faults of black people, and I guess their demand for equality.
Okay.
Do you see it that way? What is your perception of this whole evolving of woke culture, and what does that mean to you?
Well, the whole woke culture thing and the whole cancel culture, I think, is more detrimental than constructive. I think to myself, we don't want to be doing things that offend people, but then I have to remind people, if you're going to be offended, that's choice. Okay. I have Polish background. Okay. That's where my grandparents came from. And I remember hearing plenty of Polish jokes growing up in my youth. I could choose to be offended, or I could laugh and tell a few myself, which I tended to do the latter. That doesn't mean that they can't be offensive. They certainly can. I would not subscribe to doing anything that's going to offend someone unnecessarily or cruelly. But when I see that they're canceling this, canceling that, eliminating this, what's the point? We're also, it's a very difficult tightrope walk because we're also eliminating history. And I think that's a very slippery slope. It can be deadly. That old adage, if you don't remember history, where you came from, chances are you're going to repeat it. I think that's the bigger danger. I can't comment on a lot of things because, okay, look at me. I'm an old white guy. And if people hear my opinion, they might say, you don't get it just because of who and what you are. Now, I take a little offense to that. But I think when I see, you were mentioning Saturday Night Live and this particular celebrity, we've seen this for years. I can think back 20 or more years ago where celebrities like Barbara Streisand or Madonna, they get sometimes very political, which they're allowed to do. I don't deny them that. But I think the slippery slope is you are a public celebrity. And if you start to say things that basically alienate half of your fan base, you may lose that business.
Right.
That's your risk, and you're allowed.
Or up there saying things that are contradictory,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they seem like they sometimes get to a point where their career has grown. God love them. That's great. And now they're famous and they're making money, out their ears. And they probably say, I'm set. I can say what I want.
Right.
And both sides do it. I'm not picking on one side. Both sides do it. And my thought is, I like to think if I was one of those people that had that sort of notoriety, I'd probably keep some of my opinions to myself rather than jeopardize my my fan base, my revenue base. My opinion, it's no more important than anyone else's, yours or mine. And I like to think I keep it to myself, but I'll be fair. I've never been that person with that kind of fame.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Well, the problem is with it is that you're using your celebrity power, your fame to
Yes.
promote that people get a shot, or and to do something that isn't required,
Hmm.
like you said, it should be a matter of choice. But now
Yes.
you're alienating those people, and you're using uh, media machine as a propaganda tool.
Oh, sure.
So
Well,
that's where it becomes dangerous to the public.
yeah, I agree completely. I don't like to bash all of media, but generally speaking, media is no longer the fourth estate that we've desperately needed it to be. It's always been, or supposed to have been, that additional check and balance against government branches and even individuals. They need to be asking better questions and being more thorough. But I really get the impression that media today, much of it, not all, but much of it, they're just regurgitating whatever they've been spoon fed, and they
Mhm.
run with it because it's quick, it's easy, they get advertisers. Getting the news right isn't necessarily a principle anymore. How sad. They are no longer the fourth estate that we desperately need.
Yeah, and it's sad because a lot of people are depending on them for truth and for information, and they're being fed misinformation and propaganda,
Mhm.
opposed to them providing facts and material for people to judge for themselves. They're
Mhm.
shaping their opinion, they're controlling public narrative, and then,
Mhm.
like you said, kind of feeding it into the public and programming it into their minds to where now they go out in the public and they're just regurgitating everything that they've been programmed to say and do. Uh,
Yes.
so it's sad seeing this response happening.
Mhm.
And one thing I do want to clarify before I talk to and talk to you about another thing is with the whole woke thing,
Mhm.
it's white liberals. Black people ain't got shit to do with that, man. Black
I
people
hear you.
are
I hear you.
of power. And I have to tell white people this, I
Hmm.
did a debate recently, Joe, and the candidates up there, because they started talking about this is a
Sure.
question, and it's six candidates. I'm the only black guy, right?
All right.
So they're all expressing their opinion about all of this. One guy
Mhm.
says, if you want to remove prejudice, take it off of job applications. I'm
Hmm.
like, how many black people have actually been in position to create job applications? The creation, the origination of the application came as a way to discriminate
That's very
against
true. That's
color.
very, very true.
So you
And
can't blame black people to say, let's get rid of the, asking that question, if you're black, white, or whatever the case, on the job application when we didn't create that. We did
that's a
not
very good point.
affirmative action. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? That was them
Absolutely. It's all
who
you,
said
you, you're
this.
pointing out something great here. It's all a matter of perspective, and sometimes I don't think perspectives paid enough attention to. They just look at this, and I think people when they look at the media, they're not always looking for what's really true. They're
Right.
just looking for that opinion, that news source, that story that backs up what they already believe. That's that's dangerous.
Right.
And yeah, but I hear what you're saying about the job applications and that whole perspective. Yeah, that's huge.
It's just true, man. I mean,
Mhm.
so you can't get mad at black people and say, well, you blacks, and you're
No,
woke,
I agree with you.
you're doing all of these things. We didn't do that shit,
That's right. That's very true.
And as far as the cancel culture, I think that's just society's way of kind of leveling things out. When we rely on the law system to, bring about justice, and it doesn't,
Mhm.
then we feel like we have to take justice into our own hands. So social media has become like this tool to where we, the people, as a community, have used it to say, okay, well, since the law system isn't going to correct this, we must, now, is it right? Is it wrong? That's just, who's to say?
I don't think it's either. Personally, I think it is a great, social media is a great new medium for public opinion. Now,
Right.
a lot of the opinions, at any given moment is off the wire, but when there can actually be great discussions, we can learn so much. I know any election cycle I've ever gone through where there's been great discussions on an issue. I think everybody comes away a little better, a little smarter. I know I have. So I'm kind of a fan. I think we have to be careful with social media. We're all on it, and it could be a huge time waster, but it also could be entertaining. There's some value there. And personally, I'm glad that we've got it because, mainstream media is really letting us down.
Yes. And like you said, it's kind of a way for us to connect outside of the mainstream media. It gives us our own way to interact with each other. But one thing we were talking about was how the media shapes public's perception and opinion, etc. Another thing that they tend to be doing that on right now is with the trial of Derek Chauvin, police officer that killed George Floyd. I'm pretty sure you probably seen it in the news or.
I've spoken about it, and I've had discussions. And I've tried to get discussions from not only people on social media. I met with a friend of mine who I greatly respect recently, and this person's a police officer. And I wanted the police perspective on a whole lot of issues, including this one. And it was enlightening. I loved how this particular lieutenant pointed out to me that, far and away, police forces do not back someone like Derek Chauvin, which I was thrilled to hear that perspective. When we talked about qualified immunity, this particular person told me he doesn't have it. He went above the line. He no longer has it. You have to qualify for it. I'm like, interesting. I love hearing this.
Qualified immunity.
But here he is. He's on trial. I'm loving it. What upset me a little bit about a week ago, I saw a gentleman on social media basically and posted a picture. We've all seen that tragic picture of George Floyd being pinned on the ground. And they were basically saying, oh, you got to read. You got to read all the info. You got to read the charges. You got to read these lawsuits. And they were basically trying to substantiate Chauvin's actions.
Yeah.
And I said, wait a minute. I said, you got something big you're missing here. I don't care what was happening with George Floyd in his life. I don't care. I mean, I don't mean that cold-heartedly. My point was, he didn't deserve to die. And the thing that did it was a knee on his neck for 9 minutes. End of story. You take that away, okay? And let's say George Floyd had made terrible decisions. Haven't we all?
Right.
But you take that knee off his neck, he's alive today. And that's the point we need to focus on. And I've long said, everybody loves, I think we all want to be supportive of our police. But because of these things that happen from this 0.1% of people that go off the rails, they ruin the reputation, the integrity for the rest of the police. Right. And we need to make sure that mechanisms are put in place, that will eliminate these people off of police forces. They should not be there. That gentleman shouldn't have been working that day, Derek Chauvin. And anybody like him who is going to violate a person's civil liberties that way. And I understand there's ways they sometimes say you have to restrain someone. Okay, you got to restrain someone. If I'm not mistaken, there were 4 other policemen there with you.
Right.
Tell me there's not a better way that the 4 or 5 of you could have restrained this gentleman without violating his rights, without killing him.
Right.
I'm sorry, I may be getting a little bit passionate about this, but
I think we've all expressed moments of passion about this, so you're completely validated and no need to apologize. But one thing that you did say was about the restraint part. In watching the video, there was a point where George Floyd said, I'm claustrophobic. I don't want to get in the car, So he's expressing a medical condition that they're not even taking into account by forcing him into this small place that could, again, cause him to have a medical reaction. Sure. There's been question about him having drugs in his system or whatever the case may be. But the fact that they're trying to discredit him as a human being to say, well, these are other factors that added to his death is disturbing.
It's insidious.
Yeah. And this is our law system, though. This is the way that it works. And this is a grand scale case. I just recently had a minor case where I was facing 6 years in jail for recording my own court case.
Oh, my heavens.
So
really?
Now, yeah, court is supposed to be a public place.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a constitutionally protected right under the Fourth Amendment, public trial, and the First Amendment. We got the freedom of press. So we should be able to record anything, especially a public official, and doing their public duties in a public place. But apparently the law system felt like I was being disorderly and not behaving in a way that they felt like was acceptable. Same situation with what happens all the time with people that are considered to be, suspected of a crime. Well, they were behaving in a way that made them seem like they were guilty or criminal or suspect or whatever.
That's a judgment call. That's a judgment call.
Exactly. It's a judgment call. But with this trial, why isn't Chauvin being ridiculed for his past? He's had multiple arrests. I think they said one police report for like 18 years or something like that. And one of the incidents, he even dragged a woman out of her car for going 10 miles over the speed limit. So his anger, he's
out of control.
Very much so. So, and he's the one that's the professional being paid by taxpayers to perform a specific duty. George Floyd was not,
And, when I spoke with this particular police officer, and they indicated to me that they found this just as disturbing. They didn't feel what happened should have never happened.
Right.
That was reassuring coming from a respected police officer. And I hope it's indicative of police forces across the country. We want them to have the integrity that we dream that they have. I've also said this about police. We ask too much of them. I know in my own community here, and I'm sure across the country, on a daily basis, police get called to perform wellness checks on people. And sometimes those go terribly awry. I think the police try to do the best they can, but let's face it, I don't think they're adequately trained. That might not be the right word, but they're not properly equipped to be able to handle situations that might be mental health issues. We need to handle mental health issues differently, in a much better way. And when you ask police to intervene, you're putting them also in danger, not just the person they're checking on. And it's a lose-lose situation. I think they do the best they can, but I can think of one particular circumstance here locally. I'm in State College, Pennsylvania, that resulted in a man's death a little more than a year ago. And it's getting a lot of controversy, a lot of attention ever since then locally. And it was one of those things, I don't have the answer. I wish I did. I wish I could say, well, this is how it should have been handled. It's sometimes not that easy. But the police were put in a tough situation to try to check on someone and then intervene. And then this gentleman, his life ended. We need to come up with a better way so that these situations end.
Exactly. You said you were speaking with this friend about ending qualified immunity, and they said pretty much that it didn't expand to them. I was speaking with a police officer, a former police officer, about the trial, and he responded as if, well, he brought it along himself. George Floyd brought it on himself.
No.
And I said, well, if we change police culture, then, like you said, take away their responsibilities, too much pressure, too many laws that they have to enforce, welfare checks on people with mental health disabilities or substance use. You know, if he really was on drugs, you know, high on drugs or whatever the case may be, send out somebody else more outfitted to deal with that type of situation. But this police officer, when I mentioned qualified immunity, got pretty upset and said that's not going to help things. That's actually going to put police in more danger. So I want to ask you, since you are looking to become governor of the state of Pennsylvania, what are some of the changes that people can expect from you when it comes to criminal justice reform?
Well, right off the top, you just barely touched on it a moment ago about when someone's high on drugs. One thing we have learned is the war on drugs is an abject failure. It started in its current form in 1972. Best estimates say the government has spent over $3 trillion on the war on drugs. Guess what? We still have drugs. We still have people abusing them. We still have people using them casually. I mean, I know people my age that use recreational marijuana and have for all of their lives. And when you see that, you think, well, technically right now they are breaking the law, but they're doing it anyway. And you know what? There's no harm. I'm not a drug user myself, never have been, but I still see what a horrible waste the war on drugs has been. And it's also cost police lives, I point out. How many police have died in the last 50 years unnecessarily trying to enforce these ridiculous drug laws? And how about the individuals whose lives have been decimated, particularly the Black community? Let's face it, when you look at the incarceration rates, it hits the Black community especially hard. Now, I'm going to use this as a parallel. Here's a bourbon. I enjoy a sip of bourbon, and it's perfectly legal. I know plenty of people who use recreational marijuana. Now, medical marijuana is finally legal and heavily regulated here in Pennsylvania. That's a step in the right direction. And while they used to say libertarians were crazy because all they want to do is legalize weed, I'm saying, no, we want to end the war on drugs and the government waste that goes with it. That's one of the things I would be pushing. I'd say, let's get rid of these ridiculous laws. If somebody wants to put something in their system, and I don't care if it is marijuana or a slug of bourbon, here's to you, my friend. You should be allowed to put whatever you want in your own body. It's your body. The government has no requirement to police that for you. They're not your caretaker. I don't want anyone to become an alcoholic or to get addicted to drugs. But my point is, it's their call. I would do the following here in Pennsylvania. I would try to emulate all the success that they've had in Portugal. Portugal legalized all, I mean all drugs. I want to say in 2000, maybe 2001.
You're correct.
They have a 20-year real-time study going on. Addiction rates are down. HIV-related infections are way down. Mm-hmm. Everything has dramatic. I'm talking 75 to 90% drop. It's significant. They're spending a fraction on these problems now, but they're spending it on medical intervention as
Right.
opposed to criminal intervention. So I guarantee you, I will be pushing the legislature to legalize all drugs. You know, but let's get marijuana legalized right off the top. Let's legalize all drugs and start to handle these issues as a medical problem, not a criminal one. I will want to see all nonviolent offenders that are currently incarcerated in Pennsylvania released. Okay. If they are a nonviolent offender, someone who's in there for possessing drugs, just like I possess a bourbon on occasion, let him out. Done. And let's expunge their records. We're ruining these people's lives because we're making felons out of them where there's no crime, there's no victim. And now they can't get a job, they can't get credit, but everything nosedives. Government has created the problem.
Right.
I'll be working to get the legislature to reverse that.
All right, excellent. Well, you heard it here, people, first. Expect Pennsylvania to be a decriminalized state for all substances, as well as, again, a more, I guess, strict state when it comes to violent crime enforcement, violent crime law enforcement.
And
is how
let me add one thing, if I may. I do mean decriminalization. Some people say, do you want to legalize that? Legalization's fine, but when it's legalized, that means government still has its nasty talons in the whole issue. And they're regulating it, they're taxing it. My thought is, no, let people consume, let them grow it in their window boxes. I don't care. Former governor candidate Larry Sharp in New York, he's been known for saying they need to regulate marijuana like they regulate onions, meaning you don't do it, just let it go. Okay.
Exactly.
And another thing I'll mention,
or sell it if you want to sell it out of your yard, the independent owner, or
I mean,
grow it.
I don't know about you. My wife and I sometimes go to a local farmer's market and we get vegetables, or we get some kombucha and all sorts of cool stuff. I can imagine they're going to have booths and carts where people are selling their homegrown marijuana, and it'll be, maybe they'll start having that like they have designer beers.
Yeah,
it would be a cool market.
And wouldn't it be better now you have a budding economy, no pun intended, yes, from these new cash crops. And give the state an opportunity to generate more money and create more jobs as well. People don't realize the multiple benefits of decriminalization. It reduces the amount of recidivism and the amount of people that are being incarcerated for nonviolent, victimless crimes, which possession of a substance is, or possession of a weapon even, because that's another, I guess, hot button issue is gun control, with all of the mass shootings that happened. I don't know why they call them mass shootings. It's like they're creating a new term to instill fear upon people.
Yes, absolutely.
Like anytime where there's more than one person shot, it's a mass killing, supposedly, but or a serial killing or whatever the case it may be. But murder is murder nonetheless.
Yes.
Whether it's one person or many people.
Yes.
The best way for people to protect themselves is to have an opportunity to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you, I don't know what the gun laws are there in Pennsylvania, but what is Governor Soloski going to do about guns in the state?
Well, let me just say, Pennsylvania is lucky in that it's blessed with some of the best gun ownership, and we have better gun laws than a lot of states. I wouldn't want to step over the border north into the state of New York for fear that, I could bring the wrath of that state's laws down on me if I'm carrying my handgun. But it's only going to get better in a Soloski administration. I feel that gun registration, I like constitutional carry, period. You should be able to carry a gun concealed open carry. I have a concealed carry permit. It's good for 5 years, and it's not even expensive. I think it costs like $20. But again, that's a backdoor tax on my gun.
Right.
And my thought is, can we just get rid of that? Can people just go buy guns, carry guns? And you nailed it. You nailed it, Governor. The best defense is actually having that. And I say to people, get training, shoot regularly, enjoy it. That's what I do. I enjoy going to the range and shooting. It's like any other sport, and it keeps my skills sharp.
Right.
I know that if I ever have to draw that gun, there's going to be a real reason. Okay. And I'll probably be saving not just my life, but many other people's in the process. But you know what? If I end up losing my life in some sort of a situation like that, I'm going to be glad I at least had the opportunity to pull that weapon and defend myself.
Exactly.
And I would want to be able to defend my home, my wife, my children, my extended family. I want that opportunity. So you're going to see gun laws improve dramatically in the Soloski administration. I love constitutional carry. You don't have to go any further than that. Done. Bingo.
I'm with you on that, my man.
Excellent. Excellent.
California will have in common with Pennsylvania. If we both were to get elected, we'd become constitutional carry states.
Yes. And I saw a great statistic the other day. It said that in the last several years, it is the ownership by Black individuals that's leading the way. There's more Black individuals percentage-wise becoming gun owners. I found that wonderful. And I saw an article, and I thought, okay, this is a great article. But the picture they put with it, very militant. Group of Black guys, and they looked almost militant. They looked like dangerous. And I'm like, why did they attach that picture?
Right.
If it was anybody else, it'd be, a husband and wife over the island, countertop in the kitchen, looking at their guns. Not this.
Or a hunter, with his butt standing there,
So there's media again for you.
Again, exactly. Painting that perception for people. So it's like people got to look outside of that. And
absolutely,
I do my best to kind of frame the conversation around gun control, around self-defense, because you brought up a key point. If you are a gun owner, you need to be keeping your skills sharp. It's just like any other self-defense skill. If you learned martial arts, you want to be able to make sure your body is in good health to where if you ever were threatened, whether you're 9 years old, 19 or 90 years old, you're going to be able to defend yourself.
Absolutely.
So keep your skills sharp. Always practice and make sure that you are doing so in a safe way to where, you're not putting others in harm's way, So it definitely is key for people to start learning that training and should come along with gun ownership. And it sounds as if, were you to be elected, you'd be promoting the two in the same,
Absolutely.
So that's very good to hear. Yeah. I'm very excited about the possibilities you present as the next governor of Pennsylvania. So if you do get elected and I don't, I'm coming out there to join.
Come on. What part of California do you live, my friend?
I live in Central, so Fresno, California.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very dry out here, but lots of farmland, and the farmers need help because, California supplies over half of the nation's fruit and vegetables.
I know.
If the farmland of California goes down, then the people across the country will be suffering, and we don't want that. So I'm doing the best I can to turn the state around. It sounds as if you're doing the same out there in Pennsylvania, and I truly appreciate you stepping up to the plate to lead the way and offer yourself as a public representative, because a lot of people don't realize the amount of sacrifices that come with that as well. I do. So from candidate to candidate, God bless you. And thank you so much for just doing what you can to fight for we the people. God bless you. Thank you.
And you too, sir. You too.
Indeed. Well, Joe, I'll let you say anything else that you want to say before I go ahead and let you go. I know I've been talking to you for way too long,
Oh,
but I appreciate every moment.
I tell you what, we could keep going. I'm having too much fun. This is cool. Um,
Good
but
to know.
I'll try to wrap it up quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, I really do want to be your next governor in Pennsylvania, but I want to be your first elected libertarian governor.
All
And
right.
I hope that when that happens, that I will be able to work with brilliant minds like Governor Wildstar to make great things happen in this nation. It's going to be a slow process, but ladies and gentlemen, we've got to start. Uh, for the last 165 years, the Republicans and Democrats have pretty much had a stranglehold on power in this country. And are you ready to try something different? Are you tired of the debt, the runaway debt? Are you tired of the overspending? Are you tired of the taxation? Are you tired of your personal liberties being trampled left and right again and again? Don't just throw up your hands. You can do something better here. You can elect every libertarian on your ballot. And that way we can work not only in Pennsylvania, but also in California. We can work with liberty. I urge you, take a chance. Try me first, try me last. Darn it, try me. You need to try something different if you want some great change. If you keep voting the way you have been, it's not going to happen. And you will continue to wallow in the negativity that seems to be gripping this country. So, yes, November 8th, 2022, I am hoping to see both faces on this screen elected as governors of our respective states.
Tell me
Thank
about
you so
it.
much.
Thank you. Hey,
You're
well,
phenomenal.
I may get the shot sooner than you since we're recalling our governor. You
Yes,
know?
absolutely. And we're cheering for you.
Thank you so much. We're going to do our best to get rid of him and get you in office as well out there in
Fantastic.
Pennsylvania, you know? So,
Fantastic.
Joe, God bless you again, my friend. Thank you so much for being here again on the Black Side of Liberty. And I truly appreciate the conversation and hope I can have you back again sometime in the near future.
Please, anytime. It's a privilege and it's an honor.
Absolutely, indeed. You take care until then, my friend.
Take care. Good seeing you. Bye-bye.
All right, you guys. That again was Joe Soloski, candidate for Pennsylvania governor. You heard it right. He is running for governor of Pennsylvania. And everything that he said during my show, I guarantee you that man will make happen once elected. He will bring it to fruition. He will make Pennsylvania a constitutional carry state. He will decriminalize all substances, and he'll make sure the people of Pennsylvania have a safer community being provided by themselves first and foremost, and law enforcement officials as well to work together with those people in need. So we're just doing everything that we can to improve our state from coast to coast. So please make sure that you visit Joe's website right there down at the bottom of the screen, joesoloski.com. Make a contribution to his campaign today. Like he said, I kid you guys not, it costs a lot of money to run for office. I don't know what the cost is to get him on the ballot, but we need to make sure that he has every dime that he needs to make that happen, okay? As well as make sure that the people of Pennsylvania know who Joe Soloski is. So head on over to his website, hit this donate button right here. It's hidden behind my logo, but hit donate and you can make a contribution to his campaign to bring back liberty to Pennsylvania today, okay? Thank you to all of my beings of light, art, culture, and knowledge out there for watching this broadcast, which started a little late. And because of that, we lost our Facebook audience, so I will be reposting this for those of you that missed this. But again, to all of you that were watching, I appreciate you for being here. Please be sure to head on over to taxationistheft.info, okay? You can buy all of the taxation is theft gear that you need right here from my man Dan Berman. Dan Taxation is Theft Berman. He's running for governor in Texas. See, we got the governor's table around here. We got Pennsylvania, Texas, and California up in here. So, yes, we all believe that taxation is doing more harm to our community than good, and we want to make a statement with that by wearing Taxation is Theft gear, which you can buy here at taxationistheft.info. Please do so and use my code GOWILD2022 to receive a discount as well as make a contribution to my campaign. And for all of you bud smokers out there, you know who you are. Head on over to nugofknowledge.com. That's nugofknowledge.com. Another Dan Berman brainchild, to where all of you people that like to enjoy hemp and CBD products are able to do so at a discounted rate and receive the best quality product also on the market. So please head on over to nugofknowledge.com and use my code there as well, Wildstar, if you want to get a discount, as well as, again, make a contribution to my campaign by doing so there. And of course, for all of you people that want to help, the free Wildstar campaign is still going. I'm appealing my charges for contempt of court, so I can, again, make sure that I'm free from these charges, but also make sure the people of California have their rights and liberties defended by those sworn to uphold them. So if I'm able to beat my appeal, then all of the people of California, and actually in the Western District, will now have the right to record public officials protected. We want People versus Wildstar to become case law to defend any and all people out here that may end up being faced with the same situation. So help me by making the contribution to that effort, because attorney fees and all of that good stuff, it costs. I'm aiming for $15,000. I'm not going to get it, but every little bit that you guys chip in helps in making sure that I can obtain legal counsel and battle this out if need be. I'll take it to the Supreme Court of California or the Supreme Court of the United States to make sure that we, the people, are vindicated and our rights and liberties stay intact. So head on over to GoFundMe.com, free Wildstar, make a contribution today. And all of you people that are still wanting to know what's going on with the recall of California, it's over. I mean, we've collected enough signatures to recall our governor right now. They're being counted up by the Secretary of State. And any day now, they'll be declaring that we have collected enough signatures to recall Gavin Newsom. So once that happens, we're going to be having a special election here in California before the end of the year. It's going to be one of the most high-profile campaigns across the country, maybe even the world even, okay? Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected in the last recall California had, so who's to say who's going to get elected in the next one? You know what I'm saying? It's every man for himself, and winner takes all. So once this special election happens, I can win with 35%. 35%, okay? If you get 3 candidates up there and you know the other 2 got 33% and I got 35%, I'm the new governor of California. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure all of the people out there know about me. So join in the recall effort so we can get rid of Newsom and get Wildstar in there ASAP. Head on over to my website, wildstar2022.com, which is down right now. I don't know why. I got to contact my webmaster. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties today. Maybe it's just the NSA, the FBI, the government just not liking me or whatever, but I'm going to get the website back up and running soon, people. Bookmark it, wildstar2022.com. Check it out. And, of course, my other website, governorwildstar.com, which is always going to be up and running, all right? So, again, to all of my beings of light, art, culture, and knowledge out there, like Julian, who is dropping some liberty up in here, I thank you for that. And Adele, Yeshuan, all of you guys for dropping comments during the broadcast. And those of you that didn't, definitely be sure to come back next time and let's talk more about liberty, justice for all, and what that means for you, okay? I'm going to be having the Governor Wildstar special this Thursday. I'll be speaking with Daryl Cotton, farmer, cannabis farmer for 151farms.org. Be sure to come back Thursday where we speak with him. Since it's 420 month, We're going to be talking about some cannabis laws here in the state of California that you definitely want to pay attention to, and Cotton has been keeping tabs on. So we'll talk to him on Thursday, and on Sunday I'll be attending the Yes California meeting, the Cal Exit movement, pushing for California independence right here on the Governor Wildstar channel on YouTube. So that's every Sunday. Be sure to subscribe. I'll be speaking this Sunday, so be sure to tune in to that one especially. But till next time, you guys, I'm up out of here. I'm going to go have some dinner and take care of my baby and have a good night. You guys do the same. Long live liberty, y'all. Peace.